welcome back to another video. Thank you for stopping by. Today we're looking at what is PMI. Well, PMI stands for Private Mortgage Insurance, and it's basically an extra insurance fee you're going to have to pay on your monthly mortgage rate until you have at least 20% into your loan. So you do have to pay it. It's not optional until that 20% is paid. So the question is, well, how much is that going to add to my payment? Well, that depends. It depends on how much you put down. The closer you get to 20%, the better rate you're going to get. And the better credit score you have, the better rate you're going to get. But normally it's between 0.5 and 2% of your loan. So for example, if you buy a $300,000 home, which we talked about before, that is a reasonable price in today's market. If you buy a $300,000 home and you've got good credit, your payment might be in the 0.5% range of the loan. And if you're looking at $300,000, that would be about $1,500 extra a year, which would be about $125 extra a month that you would pay on your mortgage payment to the bank. Now, let's say you don't have as good credit score. Your payment might be 2% down. Well, if it's 2% down on the same $300,000, that's going to be $6,000 a year, and that's going to be like $500 a month. So it's going to be to your advantage to get as close to the 20% down as you can, but if you can't, just work on your credit score to get that high. So the next question is, well, can I get it off? And yes, you can get it off, but it takes time. Again, you've got to be able to have 20% down on whatever you own on that loan before it's going to come off. But once you get that, it will come off. So here's an example. Let me get my board real quick to help out with this. So basically, let's say you purchase the house for $300,000. And you're, like we've talked about in other videos, you're going to get an FHA loan, you're only going to put 3% down. Now that might affect your PMI, but at least it's letting you buy the house and go ahead and get into the house. Let's say you get an FHA loan at 3.5%, and then you're going to put down $10,500. That's what you're going to have to come up with to owe that, to buy that house. And so if you subtract $10,500 minus $300,000, you're going to make what you owe the bank or mortgage company, whatever you go with, is going to be $289,500. Now, 20% of what the property is worth, because it's $300,000, that's what you paid for. So 20% is $60,000. So if you had $60,000 to put down on that property, then you would not be paying this PMI. Loan is worth, if the house is worth $300,000, in order to get that PMI off, 20% of that would be $60,000. So you'd have to pay off $60,000, bring that mortgage payment down to about $240,000 of what you owe instead of $289 to remove that PMI. So the question is, well, how can I do that? Well, again, if you don't have a large payment, you're just going to have to take time. So let's look at another example. Let's say you've had this property for 5 years now. Now let's look at the numbers on that same piece of property after 5 years. Let me go back to get my board. So here we go after 5 years. Same piece of property. Now you're going to pay it down. You pay the principal down to $284,000. Now, you may be thinking, 5 years, man, I've only knocked it down $5,000. And yeah, unfortunately, for the first 5 years or so, you're mainly just paying interest on your mortgage payment. So if you can pay more towards the principal, then that number would be lower. We'll talk about that in another video. But for right now, if you've got a mortgage, you've knocked it down to $284,000. But now, since it's been 5 years, your property has appreciated. Now, most property in the past has gone up about 3%, 3.5% per year due to inflation. So if you're looking at that $300,000 property 5 years from now, it's probably going to be worth about $350,000 now. So which is pretty good. So now if the bank said, okay, let's refinance and let's see if you can get this PMI off, well, they're going to say, all right, well, you're going to need $70,000 because now it's worth $350,000. And so 20% of $350,000 is $70,000. So in order to figure out, well, how much more do I got to go before I can get that? Well, I'm close to that $70,000 so I can pull it off. Well, again, you take what it's worth, so it's worth $350,000 now, and now what you owe is you've knocked it down to $284,000. So you take the $350,000 minus the $284,000, and you've got $66,000 in equity in that. Well, if we take 20% of the $350,000, well, you need $70,000. Well, you're pretty close. You've got $66,000 in it. So you only got to come up with about another $4,000 and that PMI will be dropped. So let's say your mortgage payment was $2,200 because you were paying an extra $200 in PMI. Now remember, it could be an extra $500, but let's say it's $200. So you were paying $2,200 after 5 years. If this is true for you, you would drop that by $200. Now you're only paying $2,000 a month. So if you want to speed this process up and get that PMI off quicker, then pay more towards the principal. Maybe pay $200 or $300 extra a month towards your principal, even $100 extra a month, times 12, times 5 years. That's going to knock that thing down. And you probably would. I'd say in 5 years, it's realistic that you could get that PMI off of your mortgage. So hopefully this video was educational to you. If there were some things you didn't understand about the math, maybe go back and look at that again. If you got any questions about this, please put some comments in this video and I'll be happy to answer them. So thank you guys and see you next time.